Hello,
Hi,
I'm Shivani.
and I'm Miranda.
We are back with episode
26?
26.
26.
Yes, and this is far from normal.
Yes.
I remember this time.
Good job. I'm so proud of you. I say that every single time.
I know, and I always forget. I'm doing better though. I am.
Yes.
Yes, this is the first time we're recording a video along with our audio. So I am
A little nervous.
very nervous. I'm kind of shaking. I have a pillow next to me to hold on to, and it's okay. It's okay. We're gonna have a good time though. I'm excited for this. It's like a nervous excitement. So it's not like I'm scared, but I am scared, but I'm excited, very excited. So yeah, today we're gonna talk about what are we talking about? This was based on our conversation.
So me and my mom and I believe my sister, when we were just hanging out at the house, I think we're in the hot tub. Not that it really matters, but we were hanging out and we were talking about progressiveness and children in general. And I've always had this fear way back at the back of my mind because I want to be one of those moms who supports things and is progressive. Kind of like how my mom, she's relatively conservative, but she tries to understand where I'm coming from and tries to learn things. And I want to be like that. I want to try to learn things. I want to be understanding. I want to support the youth when I'm an adult. However, throughout the past, every single generation basically, there's always something that the adults take a long time to adjust to or they think is wrong. There was I don't know, women getting the right to vote, adults were like, that's bad. And then gay rights, adults were like, that's evil. And I don't know, the Vietnam War, they were like, don't say no to the country. And so I'm worried that there is going to be something that's going to come that I won't be supportive of, and I want to be supportive.
Sorry, I was going to cut you
Go
off.
ahead. I'm talking a lot.
No, you're fine. So that's something that you are nervous about, but have you had any trouble doing that now, in the present? Why are you nervous about that happening in the future if you can adjust to it now?
I mean, I still struggle with it sometimes now.
Understandable. Yeah.
I don't know, when we were talking to Cassidy in the last episode, asexuality was something that I did not understand for a very, very long time. And there's just small things like that confuse me a tiny bit. There's a shit ton of labels out there,
for sure.
You know how people call it the alphabet mafia? Have you ever heard that term used for the LGBTQ community?
It sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Do you know what it's about?
People just say that for the LGBTQ community, including I identify as questioning, so I'm not trying to stereotype or insult anyone. And a lot of people who I follow who are in the LGBT community call it that, and it's basically just saying the fact that there's 6 million labels and a bunch of letters for everything. It's a joke. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like this is good to talk about because I feel on the internet people are so quick to cancel people who are not accepting, or you either accept it or you are against it all, and there's no in between. And I think it takes a little courage to admit that it takes some time to get adjusted to different labels and different identities, because this is not something we've necessarily seen as much before, at least what we've been taught in school. And there might have been more identities in the ancient past, and it got buried under a bunch of history and stuff like that, and stuff happened. But yeah, I think I'm comfortable with saying that it took me time too to be get adjusted to all these different identities and how people identify as. I know for me it took me some time in the very, very beginning to understand sexuality and being something other than heterosexual. And I've been surrounded by you and all of our other friends, and I've been exposed to it more, so it's starting to make a lot more sense to me. Well, it's been around for a while, so I can say I'm pretty comfortable with it, and it's more normal for me. Whereas our parents, this is all fairly new to them, unless they were maybe involved in the community back then that was super open and free about that. But yeah, my parents had a hard time coming to terms with that. They would refuse to talk about anything along those lines. And yeah, it's just a learning curve for everyone.
It is, and like I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are too quick to like just say that the other people are wrong instead of trying to like educate and trying to like see from the other point of view.
Mhm.
Which, as I mentioned previously, like my mom and my dad are relatively more conservative. But like I can sometimes step into their shoes and then I can explain it in a way that makes sense to them and then like they can learn things and be I don't know, better for the society. Well, in my opinion, better for the society, obviously.
Mhm.
Different opinions, but
Mhm.
like people are so fast to be like, oh, you I don't know, are Republican, so therefore you're a bad person, therefore I don't want to talk to you and I don't want to like
Yeah.
try. So
Yeah. I think it's like largely influenced by like social media and like everything we have access to too. And I mean like we've talked about a lot of this in like our previous episodes and how like having this like a computer and technology and having access to like so much information can really like expose you to things that are you don't know are not accurate or
yeah.
like like you don't always have the facts down and it's really hard
Mhm.
to like discern between like truth and lies and like things are like exaggerated,
Yeah.
which is like social media, so like you don't know what's actually real
Yeah.
and it's like really hard to like figure out like who has the best intentions because it all kind of like blurs
Does
together.
anyone have good intentions? That
I
sounds
mean,
so
that's
dark.
that's a good question. Like,
No,
do you?
I
What do you
think I think
think?
everyone has good intention. Well, most people have good intentions. But I think I did a speech on this in high school. I think a big issue with like news media, at least, is that like our generation is like super ADHD. Like we only spend like 10 seconds looking at a source.
TikTok was like
Yeah,
10 seconds per video, and that's
yeah,
it.
exactly.
Yeah.
We spend like 10 seconds looking at a source. So like the source tries to make like the most exaggerated, like over the top headline, so that people actually click on it, and so that they actually make money.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so like, and then they also have like the concept of like some people only go to certain sources, and so they don't learn things. And
Mhm.
also they're going to sources that are not good. Like people either choose you're either a Fox supporter or you're a CNN supporter. Both of those are bad,
Mhm.
and nobody goes anywhere in between the two.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm curious because like you're a marketing major. Do you
Yes.
want to like change that in any way, like how people like market their stuff and make it more like ethical, or are you like more I need to like market stuff and like make sure like people see this and like you will be going to like you'd be willing to go to any length to like get people to click on your link or
I
whatever.
mean, I'm gonna work for a nonprofit.
Got it.
So I don't worry as much about the ethics of how I'm marketing because the money is going to a good cause, which sounds kind of shady.
Mhm.
Because I'm like, I will take people's money and put it towards these homeless children. Like, I guess
So
it's
they're like good
shady because you're
intentions.
marketing, but like, my marketing's gonna be like, look what you're doing for these people. Look at all this help that you're causing, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know, but like, if I were to market just regular business stuff, I would definitely have to believe in what's happening and
Right.
like actually be like trying to convince someone to buy something. Although I have been marketing the podcast and I'll be marketing our album, and that's probably gonna be a lot of like shoving it down people's throats because I'm gonna be like, listen to this, I wrote this, listen to it. So
I mean, sometimes that's like the only and the best way to do it
mhm.
because like if you don't like put yourself out there, it's like and you don't like be consistent with it, almost like to the point where it's like annoying.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah,
people aren't gonna really take it seriously, I
yeah.
feel like, because there's like you have so many competitors and like
Mhm.
so much competition and like yeah, you kind of have to be like annoying and
Right.
passive aggressive and like you kind of have to like get into like those states that you don't necessarily like or like align with.
Yeah.
And that's been really hard for me too.
The
It's
business
like
world's scary, guys.
it is, and we're both business majors for some reason. It was like, yeah,
People are so intense. Oh my gosh.
yeah,
There's like freshmen. I'm a sophomore now, but there were freshmen at Butler who were like in internships already and they were like perfecting their resume. And they were like, I'm going to be CEO of this club so that I can do this and this and this. And like networking and like
uh-huh,
all that, not because they actually want to be part of the club or because they actually care about the people they're networking with, but just because they want to like go forward and push forward and do bigger things. And
right.
it's exhausting.
It is, and I think that's just like the type of culture that we've been in for like so
Mhm.
long. You like, have you heard of like hustle? I think it's called hustle culture. I don't know, not culture. It's like a hustle just like hustle.
The
like,
hustle?
Something like that. Something hustle. But like basically it's just like go, 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 action, action, action. Like you need to you're always like working.
American.
It is very American. And it's not like that like throughout the world. Like I think I heard like somewhere, like the nearer to the equator that you are, like the more like life starts to like slow down. And it's like, the weather kind of influences.
There's
like
also older people there though.
Right, and that's like where people like to retire too. So like it, like it makes sense. They're like away from like all that, hustle bustle of like the city life and like trying to like make it in the world and like, get yourself out there. And it's like it's such a different atmosphere.
Yeah.
And I can't even like begin to imagine it because like I've grown up like mostly in the midst of like, go, 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 action, action, action. And like my family is like that too, especially like my dad, he's very like very work oriented. There's nothing wrong with that. It works for him, but like it's interesting to think about like the other side of that and like how well would that benefit me. And I think it's a balance of those two that would really make a difference in my life. I have yet to figure out how to do that, but
I just watched the Netflix show Emily in Paris. It's really cheesy.
I was thinking about watching that. It looks so weird.
It's so cheesy. But I like the actress, Lily Collins, I think.
Yeah, she's cool.
But I watched it, and in France, like everyone in France is making fun of her and American culture because, like in France, it's a lot more chill. They have a lot more like socialism. So, well, I don't know. I hope this doesn't offend anyone. In my perspective, based on how I've been educated, socialism tends to mean there's more things provided for you. So they have more time to focus on their families and stuff like that and their well-being. So like they laugh at Americans for like working 24/7 and putting work as like the number one priority. Because like usually it's like love and food and family and stuff. So like that was like a big theme of the TV show, and I thought that related to what you're saying.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's such a different environment. And like, I mean, have you been to like you haven't been out of country, have you?
I've been to Mexico and I've been to Canada, but I stayed at resorts at both, so I didn't actually meet very many locals. We met locals in Mexico though when my uncle passed out and we had to wait half an hour for an ambulance.
Yikes.
Yeah, that was chaotic, but besides that, not really.
I mean, did you notice like any difference between like, I don't know, like where like
I mean, we're at a resort. We're at a resort, so it's gonna be chill.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
I mean, in Canada, the thing that was major that I noticed was it was a lot cleaner.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. This is like super random, but did you know that like I think it's in Singapore they like banned gum? I don't know if that's still a thing. I think it is.
Interesting.
But like when I went there, you weren't allowed. What?
It's in China. Isn't it in China?
Singapore?
Yeah. Is it near China? Off the coast of China?
I don't know.
I thought it was off the coast.
Be wrong about
I thought
that.
it was off the coast of China. I thought it was a little island off the coast of China.
Maybe I need to get to my geography.
Yeah, it's a little island off the coast of China. Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
I keep moving. I need to stop. We're taking a video. Okay.
Yeah, I know. We're so used to like not having a video on, but what was I saying? Yeah, they don't allow gum there, and honestly, they're like I went there. I want to say like about maybe it was probably like 10 plus years ago because I was pretty young. But like, yeah, it was the cleanest place I had ever seen. It was so clean. There wasn't like a single piece of like
there.
Yeah, it is. And we stayed at like one of the like most expensive hotels over there. I think it was like Marina Bay Sands, and it was really pretty. So I probably didn't see like like the locals and like how it actually like functions. But like where I was, so clean, like just spotless and just flawless, and it was just so pretty. It was so freaking pretty. But yes, that was just a random thought.
That was one of the areas for one of the internships I applied for. So yeah, I did some research in Singapore. It's cool.
Yeah. Speaking of like internships, you're going to Japan, so
yes, this is gonna be a hullabaloo of a podcast. Okay,
anyway. No, I'm bringing it back. So like,
you are.
I'm trying to anyway. So like, you're going to Japan, which is generally a little more, a little, but like it's more generally more conservative than compared to like America. How are you preparing for that?
Sorry. I mean, I grew up in a conservative house, so that helps. And I'm like more conservative than a lot of my friends. At least at Butler. Actually, most in Bloomington too. But so that will help. And like mostly from what I've heard from my pod mates, because they know more about Tokyo than I do, is that like it's it's acceptable to do other things, but usually people just don't choose to because they don't feel the need to.
Mhm.
Like talk about their government or like make big deals out of things. Yeah, like it's not Japan, it's China, so it's different. But I did a research on China, which was also one of the areas for the internship. Basically, they were saying because the government, because people want to succeed under the government, they choose to ignore what they don't like and follow what helps them succeed, which is kind of like
yeah.
almost the American dream type thing.
Right.
So I don't know if it's the same way in China or Japan, but also like I'm gonna try to like make friends, and obviously I want to have discussions with them. They'll probably ask me about America, so I'll probably ask them about Japan. And I love sharing my opinion with people in like a calm way, and I think that'll be easy
Mhm.
with the Japanese individuals I meet because I don't know, Americans we tend to get very angry very easily,
Mhm.
and from what I've learned, people aren't like that as much in Japan. So hopefully that will go well. I don't know. What are your thoughts on what I just said?
No, I
Put
mean,
a lot of thoughts there.
yeah, no, I mean, you like answer my question. Like, basically, you're just like you're preparing to like talk to people and like
Mhm.
understand like them, and then like answer their questions about America and stuff like that. Do you think there will be any like barriers like besides like language?
Language.
Like, yeah, like
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it might be interesting to see like because like the LGBTQ community isn't as I don't know prominent.
Mhm.
Obviously, it's Tokyo, so it'll be more prominent than other areas in Japan. But like it'll be interesting because like that's something I just like talk about, you know.
Mm,
I'm not sure if I'm gonna probably try to talk less about like that and like liberal type
mm,
ideas. I don't know, but also I think it will just be the beginning until I see how everyone else
mhm.
behaves. Like we had a friend from Russia who came to the U.S. Obviously, Russia is very different from Japan. But she came to the U.S. For an exchange student, and like I threw a party, and she met one of our friends who is very queer. Is queer offensive? I don't know. Very gay. She's not really gay, but she's like on the LGBTQ
Mm.
community. And like my friend was like, "Wait, there's gay people here," and like,
Wait, from Russia?
yeah,
Okay, oh, okay.
cause like she thought it was like I don't know more rare than it is, I guess, in the US.
Oh,
Um,
I could see that.
and so she was like very excited about it, which is kind of fun. And we get to have fun conversations. And I'm just hoping, like, even if I have differences like that in Japan, at least like I can have conversations with people and people aren't like, ew, American, you
Mhm.
know? So,
Understandable. Right. Yeah. Okay, this is a little bit of a tangent, but it's still kind of
we
related.
tangented for the whole time. You're
Yeah,
fine.
I know. I tend to do this a lot where like it just doesn't really connect, but kind of. But basically I was thinking about like how like there's conservative ideals and like liberal ideals.
Yes.
And like how in like Japan they tend to have like higher like suicide rates and just like mental health problems that
Mm-hmm.
are usually like just go under the bus. Do
Yeah.
you think like having conservative ideals affects like how we process like mental health and not mental health process like mental issues? I know that's probably the wrong word. Do you think
I
that
think
affects
so.
it?
I think there's going to be two different things that affect it. I think some conservative individuals, um, especially religious based,
Mhm.
will um, not avoid the mental health, but like almost like self criticism for
Mhm.
bad mental health because like at least in the Catholic Church, I don't know. I know Christianity is pretty big in Japan. I don't know specifically if it's Catholicism, but at least in the Catholic Church, like it was considered like a sin
Mm.
to like commit suicide or to not like I don't know, like God made you, so you should love yourself, kind of thing. So you
Mhm.
felt guilty almost, which would obviously lead you to not help yourself. But I think what is going to have a bigger impact about the conservativeness of Japan is that typically it's the liberal mindset that's about like supporting group-wide mental health and like providing different opportunities to help it and different things like that, like a bigger focus on it. And so with it being more conservative, there's probably less focus on it, and it's more like each individual tries to figure it out on their own. However, sorry, I'm saying a lot. I will give you a second. However, I want to work at a nonprofit in Tokyo, and I was researching, and most of the nonprofits are for mental health or homelessness or food scarcity. So they do have a lot of mental health nonprofit work. So
got it. Okay. So in like toward like the beginning of that, what you were
sorry.
No. I'm like trying to like piece it all together. It's starting to make sense though. But you said that like um based on like the conservative like ideals, like you said that because it was considered a sin to like have problems, or what you say?
To commit suicide is a sin,
right?
And then it's also like judged in the church to not like people who don't like themselves is kind of judged because it's saying you don't like what God made you.
Got it. So in the beginning of your mental health journey, how did that affect you?
At the beginning of my mental health journey, my guilt wasn't really Christian based. It was more like I felt guilty because my parents were sad. That was in like sixth grade though. Yeah.
Were you as like religious then, or you as like did you practice as much then?
I was religious then, but it mostly consisted of like reading the Bible and praying. I didn't really have a community that I don't really have I have groups I'm in now, and I feel a lot closer to God than I did then, even though I spent more time on Him then. If that makes any sense.
Do you think something pushed you into it, or do you think like something in like I don't know?
I kind of just like felt like I should, like it was like less of a I want to be close to God and more of a I should be close to God. You know?
Should be. Was there something in like social media that feel like made you?
No,
it's probably life.
It's probably just the Catholic guilt.
The guilt. All right. Okay. Could you explain that?
Like, you don't know what Catholic guilt is?
I mean, I'm like familiar with the term, but I don't think I'm like I don't completely understand.
We're definitely gonna tangent a little bit then. So Catholic guilt, and there's Christian guilt, and probably other faiths, is just where like the church, and the religion kind of make you feel like you aren't doing enough, like you don't deserve to be close to God unless you're doing more things. Or you're not like doing what you should be doing as a Catholic, kind of. So like, I don't know. If I were to read a smutty fan fiction, again, my opinions have changed a little bit, but I would feel like guilty, and typically I would connect it to Catholic guilt. But there's also like the, I don't know, if I like was seen in the back of a church with a guy, like just us two, people would be like, "Oh, what you doing?" You know, those are bad examples, but there you go.
Okay, understandable. I mean, like I think I've experienced some of that. Just like I don't know if I ever had like a term for it. Like Catholic guilt. I was raised as a Hindu. I no longer label myself as a Hindu. I more just kind of associate myself with like spiritual, like the label spiritual, because I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily there is no specific religion for me. So it's just a huge process of like discovering, and I think there's truth in all religions. So I try to educate myself on things that I feel good about and make me feel good, things that resonate with me. And I've experienced like the guilt too, like when at least when I was like younger and like I associated with being like a Hindu, like I would like read something that was not so appropriate and be like, oh, God hates me, he'll never forgive me, and like how am I supposed to make it up to him, and like what if he just like stopped helping me, and like it's just like it was a long process to like get over that, and like what got you what got you out of that state of like, feeling guilty?
I still do it sometimes. Like, I still like question whether or not certain things I'm doing are sins. But I guess I've learned that God is more loving than I learned kind of when I was younger. Like, even if I do sin, God will forgive me, and it's a way of growth. And I don't know, like, He's always there and wants to talk to me. And also, like, it's not that big of a deal to read smutty fan fiction. Let's be honest.
We all do it.
I
all do
don't
it.
have a boyfriend. I don't know. It's not, yeah, whatever.
It's all good. It's all good.
But
I'm guilty of doing that too. Well, I mean, I don't even know if you say guilty. I'm like, it's
I do
a normal thing. Yeah, I do it. It's it's okay.
I think
it's
a very old school tradition to say that you can't do it. I think, like, that's the same thing as saying, like, you can't, I don't know, have sex with someone before marriage, which I mean, like, I still won't do for different reasons than the Christian tradition. But, like, even, like, in the old school Christian tradition, it used to be that if you had sex with, like, if a guy raped you before marriage, he had to marry you.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I was like, and I get why the tradition exists that, you know, you have to marry someone if you have sex with them before marriage. But, like, there are a lot of old school things, better examples than that have gotten changed a little bit. And I think reading a fan fiction is something that probably can change a little bit, because that's, like, not a big deal. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I mean, do you think there's a heavier weight on, like, say, like, doing the deed or, like, watching porn versus, like, just reading fan fiction? Do you think there's, like, more weight to, like, I don't know.
In my mind, there is. I know there's definitely more weight to doing the deed. I don't know between porn and fan fiction. I want to say porn has more weight. But maybe that's just to make myself feel better. But, like, doing the deed could be, like, considered the worst. But I also know and agree that that's an individual choice. I don't necessarily align with the Christian belief, and more so with the I want to wait because I expect the person that I'm going to marry, the person I love, the person that I want to give myself to, should be willing to wait for me because they have to love me that much, you know? So.
Yeah, understandable. Yeah, it's, like, really crazy to see, like, how those, like the schools of thought of, like, you know, conservatism and, like, liberalism, is that a word? Liberal minded person. Yeah, it's really interesting to see, like, how that connects to, like, different aspects of our lives, and to see, like, how we all have, like, conservative in us and all liberal in us, and it's just, like, a matter of, like, finding balance.
Yeah. It is interesting because, like, I feel like this is kind of off the topic. Well, it goes off what you're saying right there. Like, there's a balance, and people don't, I don't know, like, a lot of people who identify in one way refuse to, like, acknowledge the other side.
Right.
Like, we had friends in, like, high school who were, like, super liberal, but then would, like, say things about grading or, like, stuff like, example, like, people who would get mad if the teacher gave everyone A's because they thought they deserved their A, or people who would get mad at, like, friends for skipping school because they, like, thought that it wasn't fair. Like, those are conservative ideals, but those were very liberal friends that we had that said it. And I just think it's, like, very interesting that they did not, I don't know, were afraid to admit that they had a little conservative in them.
I agree. Yeah, because I think part of the problem is, like, we get so attached to those labels. So when someone attacks your label, and, like, I guess you could just say, like, your ego, you get defensive and you, like, refuse to listen to the other person or listen to the other side of the coin, you know, or the other side of the coin, whatever. I was looking at, you know what I mean? And it's just, like, you're missing an entire part of the story. It just makes me sad that, like, we're so divided, and, like, when there's, like, truth on both sides.
Yeah.
And yeah, you could, like, yeah, there's just so
Strongly
many.
agreed.
Yeah,
Polarization. Woo!
exactly. Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, we're basically out of time.
That went in so many directions.
It did. I think it was just partly because I was like so nervous and I was like blah blah blah. But like,
What are we gonna title this?
we'll figure it
Okay.
out.
Mm,
Yeah. Do you have any closing thoughts?
um,
Um.
uh, is progressiveness or conservativeness more far from normal? I don't know.
We'll touch it up. We'll touch it up. Anyway, thank you for joining us on this episode. If you guys have any suggestions, comments, or feedback, definitely email us if you want at farfromnormalpodcast@gmail.com. And we also just created like a Google form. Is it under? Yeah, it's on our Instagram at Far From Normal Podcast. You can also DM us there, and this Google form is anonymous, so you could just like leave a question or comments or whatever you like. And yeah, and if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe.
Leave us a comment in the bottom.
I never thought I'd be saying that ever.
I know.
Oh, that's so weird. Oh my goodness. Thank you for listening and watching if you're seeing this through YouTube.
We love you guys.
Love you. Bye.